Hello there. This is David J.G. Doyle of Voice Actor Magazine. I'm here today with my dear friend, Jen McGregor. Hello, Jen.
Hi.
She's a voice actress, of course, as well as a singer, particularly well known in the brony community. Her channel on YouTube is MEMJ0123, about to breach 23,000 subscribers, which is quite an impressive feat. So, Jen, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
Well, I live in Ontario, Canada. I'm a psychology student at university, just about to graduate. And yep, outside of voice acting, that's pretty much all I do.
Fair enough. Psychology. What inspired you to do that?
Well, in high school, and in elementary school, I did a lot of these school musicals. And in high school, I kind of got discouraged from it because my drama teacher at that school often picked people by their looks and not so much by their abilities. So I often got casted in chorus. And that's not to say that the people who were cast in leads weren't talented. They were talented. But it was very clear that they were cast mostly for their looks. So that kind of discouraged me in high school. And I figured, you know what, I'm just not going to get anywhere with using my voice. So I decided to take the next best thing to me, which was psychology, which I am very interested in. So there you go.
Indeed, but voice acting, well, acting in general is your first passion?
Yep. Well, acting and singing, they always have been.
Fair enough. So what influenced you to become an actress?
Well, it was kind of an intrinsic thing. I remember my earliest memories are of me singing and acting. So, it just sort of came from within. I don't know why exactly or what I saw that inspired me to start doing this, but I've just always been doing it.
Same with singing? It was just something that just came to you?
Yeah, I mean, I come from a very artistic and musical family, so, I mean, I'm not sure exactly if interests are genetic, although certain personality traits and behavior sets can be genetic, and when you've got environment mixed in with that can produce similar interests within a family. So, I'm guessing that's probably what happened.
Makes sense, and yeah, I relate to that. I come from a family of artists and musicians and actors and teachers and doctors.
Wow.
Yeah, though all the nursing genes went straight to my brother.
Ah.
Yeah, I can't do that at all.
It's hard work.
Oh yeah. But that was mostly for stage, so where did voice acting, working behind the mic, come in?
Well, a while back, a few years back now, I got into the Sims 2 community. I've always loved The Sims. It's like my favorite game ever. And I discovered that people make these series on The Sims 2, and they need voice actors to voice these little Sims characters, so they're not all just speaking in Simlish or whatever. So I kind of wanted to do that. I thought that looked really cool. So I can't remember if it was for Christmas or my birthday. I was 16 at the time. I asked if I could have a microphone. And of course it was a really crappy headset microphone. You gotta start somewhere. And it was pretty decent considering what it was. So I got that for my 16th whatever. And that's where I started off, and it kind of just grew on me ever since.
And then along comes My Little Pony.
Yeah.
Yes, friendship is magic, and for those who don't know, just a quick explanation. A brony is someone who's a big fan of the latest My Little Pony series, and it is a rather amazing community full of extremely talented people. Actors, artists, musicians, hell, even animators. And Jen here is one of the main go-to girls for the fan voice of Celestia, who is, one of the head honchos from the main show. Well, pretty much the head honcho, even though she's still called the princess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, queen it up. But anyway.
Good enough. Whatever.
Yeah. Which is also interesting because she has a rather low voice, like a alto voice, and yet you're a soprano.
Yeah. Honestly, that when I first started doing Celestia, that it took a bit of getting used to. Like when I started, I can do a low voice well, back then I could do a low voice, for little bits at a time. But then it started to wear my voice thin. But so I had to practice a bit with, going that deep for that long. But where was I going with this? I totally lost my train of thought. I guess, yeah, my voice has always been a little bit deeper than my singing voice. I remember when I was in choir, when I was about 12 years old, or no, 9 years old, I was 9. The choir director often liked to bounce me between alto and soprano. I don't know why exactly. I don't know whether I had already demonstrated that I could do both at that time, or if that was the reason I can do both now. But I've got a bit of a strange voice in that respect, I guess. I got a deeper speaking voice, but my singing voice is definitely in the higher range.
Yes, indeed. Whereas, that to me is just very fascinating. I mean, I'm a bass, you can hear it, and I sing the bass range. I can do baritone, but that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas you, well, can we have a demonstration of your Celestia, please?
Sure. Okay.
Once upon a time, in the magical land of Equestria, there were 2 regal sisters who ruled together and created harmony for all the land.
And she also likes bananas.
Oh yes, I do enjoy bananas. Do you like bananas?
Maybe.
I think we all know where this goes.
Indeed. Me getting into a cannon out of nowhere and then being blasted off to the moon.
Yep.
How did it all come to be when it came to Celestia in the brony community?
Well, it started right when I got into the community portion of the fandom. I mean, I'd liked the show for a few months prior to that, but I didn't know until months later that this fandom had such a huge artistic side to it, and it kind of sparked that passion in me to use my voice, and I'm like, you know what, I want to join this community. I want to show my stuff. And of course, I had been a year out of practice, so I was a bit rusty at that point, but I really wanted to get back into the voice acting part, specifically, and it was a goal of mine to be able to do an impression of all of the main 6. So I wanted to practice a bit by choosing a scene that had all of these characters in it. So I chose the final scene of the season 1 finale, the Grand Galloping Gala episode.
Grand Galloping Gala.
Yeah, where they're all in the donut shop and stuff, and Celestia comes along and everything like that. So I did all those voices. I did the main 6. I even did Spike, and I did Celestia, of course. And when I was listening back to it, some of the impressions of the main 6 were okay, but then I heard Celestia's voice. I'm like, I really didn't expect this to work out, but that's kind of the best one out of the group. So I just ran with it, and I saw some auditions for fan projects on Equestria Daily. I auditioned, I got some roles, and then it all spiraled out of control from there.
Indeed it did. One of your most well-known works, well, actually a few of them, are involved with Silly Philly Studios.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, now there's a group of talent. How did that all come to be? How did you meet these people?
Well, that was also an instance where I saw an audition on Equestria Daily. I saw it on one of the nightly roundups. This small group of people, I think it was 3 or 4 at the time, they were hosting voice auditions for characters for a feature movie project called Project Saturation. And so I auditioned with my Celestia voice and a few others, and they really liked my Celestia voice, so they chose me for it. And eventually that project ended up going up in flames. Drama, it was just too much for us. And then out of that, we broke off, and then we rejoined as Silly Philly Studios. So that's that's how I came to be in that group.
Indeed, that's when you started creating some amazing little featurettes like Snowdrop.
Mm-hmm.
You voiced a couple of characters in that one, am I right?
Yes, I voiced two characters, Celestia, obviously, and the bratty little filly in Snowdrop's class. I don't think her name is ever spoken in the short, but her name's Cumulonimbus. Yeah, those are the characters I voiced.
When it actually comes to creating characters, or even having your own interpretation of characters, just before we go further into Silly Philly, what is actually your method of going about it? Like, do you base it on different people, or do you take other different influences, or do you just go into the back depths of your mind somewhere?
For creating voices, first off, I look at the character, what they look like, and their description, and some of the lines if I'm given lines. And the first thing I do is I hear this little voice in my head that kind of fits into what I see, and that's my basis. But I may pull in other elements from other characters I may have already voiced, or I've heard other people voice, or other people I know who have certain behaviors that I may try to fit into this character because I think it would work. So it's kind of a combination of those things, but the basis starts from just, listening to my own my own thoughts.
Well, okay, when it comes to your own thoughts, what would you give, say, a crazy German cat lady?
Crazy German cat lady. Man. I'm not very good with German impressions just yet. Or German accent, rather. Oh my goodness. The closest thing I ever had to do with a German accent was in the 10th grade school musical Cabaret. And we in the chorus we were all encouraged to sing with slightly German accents, so we were taught some of the I'd already known from singing some German songs in private voice lessons, but they told us some of the common dialects in German, like W is V and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Man, I haven't done that in a long time. Crazy German cat lady. You know what? I would insult that accent. I don't want to risk it. The first thing that comes to mind is like Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome.
That works. That works well, if you ask me. Now, I have to ask, what has been your most difficult role thus far in your career?
Difficult? Well, they've all had their challenges, and it's hard to say which one has been the most challenging, because they're challenging in different ways. Sometimes I may get a role where I find the voice itself is just more difficult to get into, so I may have to warm up my voice a bit more ahead of time. So that may be more challenging. Sometimes the character may be just so apart or so different from myself that I have to really prepare emotionally and really not really force myself, but like really take some time to get in the shoes of this character and be that character. That may take more time, and that's pretty challenging. And sometimes even the lines themselves can be challenging, whether I'm not sure if I'm interpreting this line right, or if my inflections if the inflections I've already created for the voice isn't fitting with the line. That can also take some time to figure out. So they all have their challenges, which have all made me grow as an actor. So it's hard to say which has been the most challenging, really.
This is probably going to be a really dumb question, but I'm going to have to ask anyway. Do you have a favorite role thus far?
I mean, I always enjoy playing Celestia. I like that regal and sophisticated voice, and being able to actually show some emotion behind that sophisticated role of hers. Other favorites, let's see. They're all fun. It's the thing with me. I hate picking favorites.
It's like trying to say who's your favorite sister, isn't it?
Pretty much, except I don't have a sister, but
Oh, you're an only child, are you?
Yeah, I am. But yeah, that's pretty much what it is. I love acting in general, and being able to portray characters is always a good experience. It's always fun.
Out of everything that you've done so far, in terms of the brony community, outside of the brony community, what has been your most rewarding experience?
Well, I always love working with Silly Philly. We've been through a lot together as a group, so we're pretty closely knit. We're pretty much like family at this point. And, whenever I do things with them, whether it's going to conventions or, making a project, I feel like I'm really doing something good with my life. So I always value working with them, and I can see myself staying with them for a long time, for as long as it exists. Other than that, I also very much value working with John Joseko. We started collaborating on comic dubs together, and now we are working on his new original comic called The Hunters of Salamanstra, and I help him edit the dialogue, and I help him, with the ideas and working through storyline elements. And I'm also a writer, so that calls my writing skills back into practice as well. So that's also something I very much enjoy.
Indeed.
Yeah.
What inspired you to be a writer?
That's also kind of the same thing with singing and acting. It came a bit later. I'd say singing and acting came around the age of 2, 3, and writing came around the age of 5 to 7. But one of my earlier memories of elementary school was in grade 1, and it was in the special education classes for English and math, basically. And for one of the exercises, my first grade teacher was giving us these little cards, and we had to write a description of ourselves, and then put them all in a pile, and then randomize them, give them out to different people, and the kids had to basically guess who was being written down on the card in the class. And I thought that was a lot of fun, so I really wanted to do it, but my teacher said no because I'm a special student. So I was sent away to do boring special education stuff. And then when I came back, there was still a card on my desk, even though no one really used it. So, I just took it and wrote down a description of myself. Anyway, and I still remember what it says to this day. At least I'm pretty sure I do. It's horribly misspelled, but, I'm still proud of it. I was about 6 years old, and I wrote a paragraph on my own, and I'm like, yeah, go me.
What does it say? Or what did it say, rather?
It was supposed to say, I am wearing red pants and a red shirt. Guess who I am? I'm going to write my short name, Jen. And instead it said something along the lines of, I am Warg, rad gas and rad shirt. Guess whom I am? I am Gog to rit my shirt, gnome Jen.
That is adorable.
Yeah. So I got a bit better than that. I've gotten a bit better than that since then, but...
Oh, well, I would hope so.
Yeah. That's always been a passion of mine, is writing.
Well, I'm sadly going to have to cut this short for now, because our time is up.
Alright.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Aww.
Jen, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. And thank you to all our listeners for taking the time to listen in. Have a good day. David J.G. Doyle signing off.